Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, September 11th, and this is the first ever Fantasy Center radio show. Today I have with us a very special guest by the name of Ben Purman. He is the owner of SMYTDs. He's a stats extraordinaire, and he is also the treasurer of the FFL. I'm very honored to have Ben as my first guest on the show. We'll get with him in a moment. Just wanted to real quick give an overview of what this show will be like on a week-to-week basis. It's pretty simple. Every single week I'm going to call up a new owner and kind of just chat with them for maybe 10 to 15 minutes on some different topics, things going on around the league, things going on with the team. So yeah, that's just kind of the idea with this. We just want to get people involved a little bit more. So, without further ado, we're going to get Ben Purman on the phone, and we're going to have a little chat with him. The Elite's not looking so elite this week. Are you kidding me?
Fantasy football.
Yeah, I don't think Air Bombs is that good.
Mike Hoffman and those vinegar strokes.
SMYTDs.
We're are the new champions.
This is Brad Swenson. This looks pretty good this
I
year.
don't know, man. London's gentleman has what it takes.
Trojan Explosion in all their glory. I know, man. Shout out my knob. Are you kidding me? How about Nate's sister? And welcome to Fantasy Center Radio, starring your host, Brett Swenson. All right, now we have Ben Purman on the phone with us, owners of SMYTDs. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. What time is it there in Florida?
2 o'clock p.m.
2 o'clock. Okay, so you're only an hour faster.
Yes.
Have you heard that it's about 40 degrees here today?
No, I actually have not heard that. 40 degrees. Nice.
It's like 47 degrees. It's terrible. It's coming. I think it's coming your way.
I think it's like 90 here, so.
Oh, well, hopefully it stays hot for you, weather-wise, and for your team after that big win against Kyle Willer this past week. How did it feel to get a little revenge on the championship, or after the championship last year?
Well, I don't know if the revenge was the most important part to me, but it definitely felt good. I think the most important part was just getting the Week 1 win. It's so important to get off to a good start in the FFL.
That's very true. That's very true. I don't know the stat off the top of my head. Maybe you do, but I think that Week 1 winners generally make it into the playoffs.
Last year was 75% first week winners made it to the playoffs. Yeah.
You do have that stat right on the top of your head. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Well, moving away from the actual game a little bit, I just kind of want to get your overall feelings on how the draft went this year, as a whole.
As a whole, I thought it was pretty good. Just the 4 teams that didn't show up. Otherwise, if they had shown up, it would have been, I think, the best draft as of yet. But we had to do some makeshift kind of drafting styles and techniques.
Sure.
So it wasn't ideal, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and I think we talked about too in coming years. We'll pick a day right at the end of one season, so that way we have 8 months to clear our schedules for the next draft.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be enough.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
How about you personally? How did you feel your team's draft went? I don't want you to expose any secrets, but
Yeah, I thought I drafted pretty well. You know, I didn't really know what to expect at the seventh pick there, so I had a few things in mind. I did go with the backup option. I wanted a running back, to be honest with you. In the first round, I didn't get that, so I settled with Calvin Johnson, which actually wasn't really selling because so far he's been huge for me. So that went well. Otherwise, the later rounds, I kind of took some chances, and it's shown so far because I have very little depth in running back position, and now that Wes Welker is suspended, my wide receiver core is a little thin too.
yeah, that's never a good thing to have your two of your Broncos suspended in the first week of the season.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know. It looks like you got a good team. Like we said, you came away with a great first week performance in beating Kyle Willer, who everyone thought I think would be a force to reckon with this year. His team really underperformed this week, so. Anyways, it was a great win for you. Do you have any concerns heading into week 2?
Well, I have concerns going into every week. I mean, it's no matter how good or bad my opponent seems, which actually Nate Christensen has a pretty solid team this year, it seems, but no matter how bad or good they seem to be, it's always worrying next week because you just never know what's going to happen. And even though there are a lot of parallels in this league, they haven't really sustained for too long. Besides a few of them, so I'm scared. I'm scared every week, basically.
Exactly. One of those parallels. I mean, you've beaten SMK twice now, in your guys' only 2 meetings. How do you think that plays an impact at all going into this week, or is this a clean slate?
I treat it as a clean slate. Like I said, there's a lot of parallels from year to year. Even though we have drafted anew every year, there's been a lot of parallels. But I don't think this one is necessarily important to me because, like you said, it's only been 2 games, and this year it's new, just like every other game. So.
Right. And to get prepared for this second week, it looks like you had a lot of activity on the waiver wire. I think that you have spent the most money on the waiver wire this week. Is it kind of a go all in early and get the big players early, or is this just you really needed to address some needs on your team?
Like I said, my running back position is thin, and my bench, I had some players that I didn't really think I needed for the long-term season, so I went to the waiver wire and I picked up Joseph Forsett for my running back position because Ben Tate got injured, as you probably know, and I picked up Carson Palmer as my backup QB. As the QB position, I just picked him up because Josh McCown, I don't think he's going to play as well.
He had a dismal first game.
Yeah, and I'm still expecting to play Cutler like 70% of the time this season, but I wanted Palmer because he played really well in week 1. So.
Very nice. Yeah, I think we saw a lot of activity. We're seeing a lot of teams who had wins on the waiver wire this week, which I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see a team who gets a win trying to address some needs. But then some teams really freaking out after a loss. Is losing in week 1 that big of a deal where you've got to freak out and start looking around to upgrade your team, or is there still a chance to bounce back?
Well, no. Obviously, 1 week. I mean, if you remember last year, the playoff spots weren't decided until the very last week.
That's true.
It's 1 week doesn't decide anything unless if you have a feeling, it's basically up to the owner. If you have the feeling that you're going to go downhill and you lost in week 1, then yeah, you might want to address the situation early. But otherwise, for me, it's you wait a couple weeks and see how it goes. I'm not too set on looking too in depth about the first couple weeks, even though I did go to the waiver wire because I need a running back. But
sure. That's injury related. Those pop up out of nowhere. You can't plan those.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
One stat that I found really interesting. I couldn't believe it. Nate Theory. I know that you and him have had a close relationship for a while. He has in his last 12 games scored under 80 points 6 times. In 12 games, 50% of his last games he's scored less than 80 points. What do you make of that out of a former champion?
I'd be worried about that stat, I think. Just because, I don't know, because it depends. His team looks really strong this year, so I don't think as of yet, but if it continues for the the next couple of weeks where he maybe goes 1-2, 1-3, then it's time to start maybe hitting the panic button a little.
Very
But
true.
yeah, I think we all expect Nate Theory to do better, be at the top
Right.
of the league.
Right. That's why I think that stat's so
It
surprising.
hasn't happened.
Yeah. Here's one more question for you, or observation. The Macaques are going up against Vinegar Strokes this week. Both teams are 1-0. One of those teams is going to be 2-0 after this week. What do you make of that? These are two teams who were at the bottom of the league last year, and now they one could be at the top. Will be.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like I said, there's parallels. There's a lot of parallels. I don't think week one we can discuss too much about where they're going, but it seems like, and I think Abe Pond had a statistic where he said Vinegar Strokes had the most points for in week one in the 2013 season, and he also had the most points for in week one this season.
Yep, he did.
And he ended up having a very bad season last year. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think we can't put too much emphasis on it, even though it does seem that the Macaques do have a very solid team, and frankly, I'm kind of scared of them. And Vinegar Strokes, I'm less scared of, even though they can put up some big points any given week, I think.
Sure. Well, Ben, I think I've asked all the questions I had to ask of you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Any other observations from the league at all?
No, just want to say thank you for having me on.
Not a problem. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you as my first guest on this show. And I can't wait to do a couple more of these, and good luck coming up in week 2 here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later, Ben.